This video is for the overthinkers, the people pleasers, the ones who lie awake at 3 in the morning wondering if they said the wrong thing, the ones who look strong on the outside while quietly carrying battles nobody else can see. And if that's you, I want you to stay with me, because by the end of this documentary, you're going to understand why positive thinking never worked, what your brain actually needs instead. You know you shouldn't care what people think, but you do. You know you shouldn't replay the conversation, but you do. That's what makes it so frustrating, because if knowledge fixed the problem, you'd already be free. You've read the books, watched the videos, listened to the podcasts. You've told yourself 100 times that you're going to stop caring, stop worrying, stop overthinking, and yet here you are. Most people think suffering looks dramatic. It doesn't. Most people aren't falling apart. They're functioning. They're going to work, paying bills, raising children, smiling in photographs. Yet underneath it all, they're exhausted, because carrying the same thoughts every day is exhausting. Every object carries a memory. Every memory carries a feeling. Every feeling leaves a mark. Regret, shame, embarrassment, rejection, fear. Most people spend years trying to think their way out of emotions that were never created by logic in the first place. For years, I thought the problem was my mindset. I thought I needed more confidence, more positivity, more discipline, more resilience. I thought everyone else knew something I didn't. I thought if I could just think differently, I'd finally feel better. And here's the lie we've all been sold. Think positive, be more confident, let it go, move on. Just stop caring. It sounds helpful. It sounds logical. Maybe you've started wondering if you're the problem. Maybe you've started believing you're weak, too sensitive, too emotional, too broken. Let me tell you something. If you've ever felt that way, you're not alone. Because one of the most dangerous things about hidden suffering is that eventually it becomes your identity. You stop saying, I'm struggling, and start saying, this is just who I am. That's the moment people stop looking for answers. The strange thing is, the answer was never where I thought it was. And discovering that answer would eventually change the way I viewed my mind, my past, and my entire life. Years ago, I ended up here. At the time, I had no idea this place would become the beginning of everything. And before I tell you how I ended up there, you need to understand something. The biggest breakthrough of my life didn't come from motivation, it didn't come from confidence, and it definitely didn't come from mindset. It came when I discovered what my brain was actually trying to do. The strange thing about suffering is, it rarely arrives all at once. Most of the time, it arrives quietly. A little disappointment here, a little rejection there, few regrets you never dealt with, a few conversations you never let go of, and before you know it, you're carrying a weight you can't even explain. But he wakes up one morning and decides to become an overthinker. Nobody decides to spend years caring what people think. Nobody chooses anxiety. Nobody chooses self-doubt. It happens gradually. One experience at a time, one story at a time, one wound at a time. Maybe it started when someone laughed at you. Maybe it started when somebody left. Maybe it started when somebody told you that you weren't enough. Most people can't even remember where the story began. They only know they're still carrying it. Because here's what most people never realize. Events don't control us. The meaning we attach to those events controls us. Somewhere along the way, your brain created a story. And once that story exists, it starts looking for evidence that it's true. For years, I thought I was trying to solve my problems. Looking back now, I wasn't solving anything. I was collecting evidence. Every setback became proof. Every failure became proof. Every rejection became proof. Proof that the story in my head must be right. Mind is clever like that. Once it believes something, it starts filtering reality. Not to discover the truth, but to protect the story. And suddenly, you're not seeing life clearly anymore. You're seeing life through the lens of whatever you already believe. And this is where the lie becomes expensive. Because the longer you believe the problem is your mindset, the more you blame yourself for something you don't understand. Maybe you've said it yourself.
Why can't I just move on? Why can't I stop thinking about it? Why can't I be more confident? Why can't I be like everyone else? Can I tell you something? The people sitting next to you at work, the people posting happy photographs online, the people who seem to have it all together, they're carrying stories too. Most people are fighting battles you simply can't see. That's why this isn't really about mindset. This is about survival. It's about a brain that's been trying to protect you for years, but accidentally ended up trapping you instead. Because while you've been trying to think differently, your brain has been focused on something completely different: safety. And when I discovered that, everything started to make sense. Not immediately, not overnight, but for the first time in years, I stopped asking what was wrong with me. Because if your brain is looking for safety, then maybe confidence isn't the answer. Maybe positivity isn't the answer. Maybe motivation isn't the answer. To answer that, we need to understand what your brain is actually doing when it overthinks, worries, replays conversations, and keeps you stuck in stories that no longer serve you.
Here's something most people never realize. Your brain doesn't actually want happiness. It wants certainty. And if it has to choose between a familiar pain and an unfamiliar future, it will often choose the familiar pain. That's why people revisit old relationships. That's why people replay old conversations. That's why people keep returning to the same stories. The story may hurt, but at least it's familiar. Buddy, think about that for a second. Some of the thoughts making you miserable today might still be there tomorrow, not because they're true, but because they're familiar. The human brain is constantly predicting, constantly preparing, constantly trying to avoid danger. And to your brain, uncertainty often feels more dangerous than disappointment. You can see this everywhere: staying in relationships that no longer work, staying in jobs that drain your soul, staying stuck in identities you've outgrown, not because they're good, because they're known. Didn't understand this at the time. I thought I was trying to move forward. Looking back now, part of me was terrified of moving forward, because moving forward meant uncertainty, and uncertainty felt dangerous. When I found myself living in that barn, I wasn't just grieving a relationship, I was grieving an identity. The future I thought I was building had disappeared, and suddenly I had to face a question I wasn't prepared for. Most people think they're afraid of failure. They're not. Most people are afraid of not knowing who they'll be if the old story ends. Because when an identity dies, the brain panics. Not because you're weak, because identity feels like safety. And this is where neuroscience starts getting really interesting. Your brain loves efficiency. It prefers familiar pathways, familiar reactions, familiar stories. The more you repeat a thought, the easier it becomes to think it again. Imagine walking through a forest every day using the same path. Eventually, the path becomes obvious, easy, automatic. Thoughts work exactly the same way. The brain doesn't ask if a thought is helpful. The brain asks if a thought is familiar. That's a huge difference, and most people never realize it. That line changed my life, because for years I thought the goal was to stop thinking certain thoughts. The real goal was understanding why they kept returning in the first place. The moment I stopped treating my brain like an enemy, everything started changing. Slowly. Not overnight, but slowly. Because maybe, just maybe, your brain isn't trying to ruin your life. Maybe it's trying to protect you using a map that no longer matches the territory. And once I understood that, I stopped asking, how do I become more positive? And started asking a much better question. And that question would eventually lead me to two words that changed everything. So what? The strange thing about breakthroughs is they rarely arrive like lightning. Most of the time they arrive quietly. One thought, one realization. A moment where something suddenly makes sense that never made sense before. For years, I thought I was trapped by the divorce, trapped by the failures, trapped by the rejection, trapped by everything that had happened to me. But looking back now, none of those things were holding me prisoner. I was trapped by the meaning I kept giving them. Events happen once, The meaning we attach to them can live inside us for decades. That's why two people can go through the same experience and come out completely different, because the event isn't controlling their future, the story is. Buddy, think about how much of your life has been controlled by stories you didn't consciously choose. Stories about who you are, stories about what you're capable of, stories about what other people think, stories you've repeated so many times. They started feeling like facts. That distinction changed everything. Facts matter, stories are optional. The problem is, most people stop being able to tell the difference. Once a story becomes your identity, your brain starts protecting it, even when the story hurts you. That's when I realized something uncomfortable. Nobody was trapping me anymore. Not my past, not my ex-wife, not my failures, not my circumstances. The prison was inside my own head, and the key was sitting there the whole time. Not because I was weak, not because I was broken, but because my brain was trying to keep me safe, using stories that no longer served me. And suddenly, something incredible happened. I started noticing how much energy I was giving away. One comment could ruin a day, one criticism could ruin a week, one opinion could shape a decision, one person's approval could determine my mood. And that's when the question hit me. A question so simple, I almost ignored it. A question that would eventually become the foundation for everything that came next. Because if somebody doesn't like me, then what? If somebody criticizes me, then what? If somebody judges me, then what? For years, I never finished the question, but eventually I did. And when I finally did, something happened that I never expected. My brain stopped looking for danger and started looking for freedom. When I finally finished the question, I realized something that completely changed my life. If somebody doesn't like me, so what? If somebody criticizes me, so what? If somebody judges me, so what? If somebody misunderstands me, so what? My friend, those two words didn't change the world around me. They changed the amount of power I was giving away. Because for years I thought my suffering was being created by other people. What they said, what they thought, what they did. But eventually I realized something. Most of my suffering was being created by the meaning I attached to those things. Buddy, think about how much energy you've handed over throughout your life, how many decisions were shaped by fear of judgment, how many opportunities were missed because somebody might not approve, how many nights were ruined because somebody else's opinion got free rent inside your head. So what? Isn't denial, it isn't arrogance, it isn't pretending things don't matter. It's simply refusing to hand over control of your emotional state to things you cannot control. For the first time in my life, I stopped asking, how do I stop people judging me? And started asking a better question. Why am I giving their opinion so much authority in the first place? Nothing changed overnight. The barn didn't disappear. The divorce didn't disappear. The uncertainty didn't disappear. But something else disappeared. The belief that those things had the power to define me. And that's when I finally understood what my brain had needed all along. Not more positivity, not more motivation, not more confidence, safety. Because the moment I stopped treating every criticism, every rejection, every opinion as a threat, my brain finally stopped fighting me and started feeling safe. That's the irony. The thing I'd spent years searching for wasn't confidence. Confidence arrived later. What came first was safety. There's something else I discovered, something backed by neuroscience. Your brain is constantly rewiring itself through repetition. It's called neuroplasticity. The thoughts you repeat, the beliefs you reinforce, and the questions you ask yourself every day all strengthen neural pathways inside the brain. And every time I said, so what? I wasn't pretending I didn't care. I was reminding myself of something important. I don't need everybody's approval. I trust myself. I believe in myself. And I refuse to let somebody else's opinion control my future. Every repetition was reinforcing a new message. I am safe. I can handle this. I don't need permission. I don't need approval. And over time, The old pathways became weaker, while the new pathways became stronger. That's why "so what" became much more than two words. It became a pattern interrupt, a reminder, a challenge, and eventually a new identity. Not somebody who never gets judged, but somebody who no longer allows judgment to run his life. When the brain feels safe, it explores, it creates, it takes risks, it learns, it grows, not because fear disappears, but because fear is no longer in charge. Let me tell you something. Freedom doesn't arrive when the world finally approves of you. Freedom arrives when their approval is no longer required. Once that happened, a new question appeared. Not why me, not what do they think, not am I enough, but what's next? The question that changed my life wasn't why me. It wasn't what do they think. It wasn't am I enough. It was what's next. Because once you stop giving your energy to things you can't control, your attention finally becomes available for the things you can. My friend, rebuilding your life doesn't happen in one dramatic moment. It happens in ordinary moments, small decisions, small actions, small promises that slowly teach your brain a new story. Most people think confidence comes first, then action, but life doesn't work like that. Action comes first, confidence comes later. Every small action becomes evidence. Every promise kept becomes proof. Every step forward teaches your brain that you're capable of more than you thought. Remember what we talked about earlier? Your brain is constantly looking for evidence. The question is, evidence of what? For years, I collected evidence that I wasn't enough, evidence that I couldn't trust myself, evidence that other people's opinions mattered more than my own, and every piece of evidence strengthened that story. Buddy, one of the most important things I ever learned is this: self-trust isn't found, it's built. And every time you keep a promise to yourself, you lay another brick in that foundation. One promise might not seem like much, but neither does one brick. The power comes from repetition, because repetition doesn't just build habits, it builds identity. The same neuroplasticity that strengthened fear can strengthen confidence. The same brain that learned self-doubt can learn self-belief. The same pathways that kept you stuck can help set you free. Maybe that's the biggest lie of all. The idea that people can't change, because I've seen people change. I've changed. And if a bloke living in a Welsh barn can rebuild his life, then so can you. You're not broken, you're not weak, you're not behind, and you're certainly not finished. Your brain has been trying to protect you. Now it's time to teach it something new. Next time somebody judges you, so what? The next time somebody criticizes you, so what? The next time fear tells you not to try, so what? Because your future isn't decided by what other people think, it's decided by what you do next. So here's my question for you. Not where do you want to be in 5 years, not what's your dream life, not what's your perfect future, what's your next step? Because life changes one step at a time, one promise at a time, one decision at a time, and it all starts with the same question: what's next?